Hello, friends, and welcome. I'm Lauren Gaggioli. I am here with my great friend, Paul Gowder, to talk about some creative email marketing ideas that will help you grow your list because we entrepreneurs know it is the lifeblood of your business. We're always told email's so important, email's so important. And yet I think there's really this urge to just not look at it, right? Like just pretend like they didn't say that. Or if you know that it's important, then you but like how and why and what do I do with that information now? And so Paul is the guy to talk to about this. So, Paul, for folks who don't know you, can you share a little bit of your background? And I think this is going to be fun for me too, because I do know you, and I don't think I've ever heard like the origin story of Paul
Oh,
Gowder.
sure. So I'm Paul Gatter, and I am the founder of powwows.com, the place for anybody to come learn, explore, and connect with Native American culture. And origin story, it, I tell people I'm an accidental entrepreneur. I did not mean to get into this. It wasn't my intention. I was playing with HTML in grad school way back in 1996. Long time ago, and I built pages about things I wanted to share. It was, I was building. I've got my Star Wars hat on. I was building pages about Star Wars figures and Star Wars toys. And that was one thing that I really wanted to talk about, and that page is still out there in its original 1996 way. But the other one, I had some friends that were just introducing me to powwows and showing me, the whole world of making regalia, learning songs, all that kind of stuff. So I was really I was excited to share it with people. And from the beginning, other people connected with that, and they wanted to connect with each other. And from there, it just took off.
That's amazing. So you have powwows.com, which is a fantastic resource. And isn't it like the number one trafficked site for Native American culture?
Yes, well, at least one of them. And I mean, there's different facets of Native American culture, but for the
Sure.
general culture powwows, yes, we are the number one site.
Yeah. I mean, I always say you're like the smartest guy in any room, and you're just so humble that, I think a lot of times people don't realize who they're standing next to, like in terms of the the amazing thing that you have built for a community. Like it's just really, really special. And I know that it's a really engaged community too. So I think I want to talk about some of the nuts and bolts about where it started, how
Right.
it's going now in terms of email growth specifically, because I was doing a live with our friend Jeff C. and Elsie
Yeah.
Escobar, and we were talking about membership. And she said something that really changed my view. I've always been like, I don't want like a community per se that feels like a heavy lift in terms of like a group or something like that. However, I love being able to connect with folks. And I think we forget that email can be part of that community building
Yes.
piece. It feels like it's sort of separate, but it actually is a huge cog in that wheel. So I definitely want to talk about it there. But can you also share a little bit about what you're sort of moving into in the supporting entrepreneur side?
Yeah, I'd love to. So you can learn more about what I'm doing over at paulgowder.com. And I'm offering some coaching and consulting if you're looking to build your email list, or if you have an email list and you need a little boost. If you're stuck, I want to help you build that up and get it going and make it an engaged community, because for me, email is community, and I treat it like that. So yeah, come on over. I'd love to talk more about it over at paulgowder.com.
Awesome. So, let's talk about like where in the beginnings of powwows did you realize that email was going to be such an important part of the puzzle?
So in the beginning, the way before we had a few pages, right? Those were the things I built when I first started out. But then the heart of powwows.com was bulletin boards. And you've heard Lou Mangello and I talk about, we reminisce about the old days of the V bulletin and the bulletin board. And that was awesome. And as that started growing, it didn't take long to realize not the same thing we're doing now, but some of the same concerns about, as your forums grow and you get more and more people posting, not everybody is going to see every post you make. So I use in the very beginning, first starting out, I was using email to make announcements, to make sure people were aware of what's going on, or if we were having a special contest, or if we had a new feature, whatever, we were using email to be that way, to really communicate with it. So it was, even in those early days, I knew that email was super critical to be able to reach your readers, because you can't always guarantee they're going to see everything you post, and you have to use multiple ways to get in touch with them.
I think it's amazing that you guys were talking about that, about bulletins. And here we are today. We all talk about it around social media. Like
Right.
it's the same problem, just a new sort of iteration of it. And I think to your point, like email is just the way to get top of mind. And I think even now, and probably even more so now, like I hear people are being really, really like protective of their email addresses, that then if they do give it to you, that's almost a stronger vote of confidence that they want you to show up in a way that they will see. Oh, speaking of Jeff C, we've already referenced you, friend. Jeff's here in the chat. Love it. Thank you, friend. So it's almost even more a more powerful form of currency almost. Like we can think of it through the lens of a transaction. Um, and that if someone gives you their email, they're really saying they care about what you're doing and they do want to hear from you, which I think is a mindset hurdle a lot of entrepreneurs need to get over, that like if they
Yeah.
gave it to you, that means they like you. Like go for it.
Right. But
Um
people are, and I'm seeing that more and more now too, is that people really feel like the email is a very personal thing, and that when you do give somebody your email address, they feel like they're giving you permission to come into their personal space. And like if I send too many emails in a week, or if somebody thinks that they didn't like the content of an email, maybe it was if I'm advertising an affiliate product or something like that,
mhm.
they will let me know, and let me know loudly when I do something that kind of, if they feel like I broke their trust, or if I came into their personal space in a way they didn't like it. I hear about it now, and more now in the last maybe 6 months than before. And people are viewing email really
Interesting.
personal now.
That's fascinating. And that's a shift from what you saw before?
Yes. 2 years ago, you could send as many emails you wanted. Nobody would ever say anything. But now people, I don't hear from dozens of people, but
Sure.
I will hear from a few every month. And uh, whether it's, I sent one more email than they wanted, or they didn't like the subject of an email, or whatever it
Oh
is.
my.
Yeah, you will hear from them, right?
Which is interesting, and I think such an opportunity to humanize your brand. To have that, like, I think sometimes we go like, "Oh, I got that email, now I'm gonna go crawl into my hole," but instead you could say like, "Hey, I got that email, that was someone reaching out
Yes.
to hit the ball back across the net and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, could you tell me more about what you're looking for?" And I think this we're gonna back up in a minute and talk about actually getting people on your email list.
Great,
But
great.
before we do, can we talk about something I know you're like incredibly passionate about, which is segmentation,
Yes.
and the way you do segmentation such that when you hear something back, you have a mechanism by which you can make appropriate changes to meet that person where they are.
Well, and let me back up too. When we talk about email marketing, I think one of the first things that people miss is that when you're building all these strategies and you're sending out your broadcast messages, or you're segmented and sending out sequences, or whatever it is, nobody talks about that you need to respond. And that is so critical, right? What you were just saying, if somebody replies to your email, that's even better than them clicking the link in the email, right? Because they're opening a conversation. They want to engage with you. You have to make those things a priority, to respond to them, to whatever, even if it's just to say thank you. When somebody writes me back and says, "Oh, I really love that email, thank you for sharing that with me," I make sure I send them back and say, "Hey, thanks, you're so welcome, thanks for writing." And you'll be amazed at how many times when people will write me back and go, "Oh my God, there's somebody actually reading these emails. I thought this was just an automated thing," right? And
Oh.
so you got to be, if you keep showing up that way, people will know that it's, you're interacting with them on a personal level. Yeah.
And I
But
think too, the systems that help you automate,
yes.
like they can be used for good or evil. And like if you're using them to do the heavy lift of maintaining the outreach, they can't do the heavy lift of continuing the conversation. That has to be a human to human thing.
Yes. Now,
So, yeah.
talking about segmentation, I think it's really important that you identify who your customers are, and you kind of figure out whatever your niche is, like who the different audiences are, and try to deliver email messages to them specifically. But one of the things I do with that, uh, one of my really popular segments or sequences is what to expect at your first powwow. And
Mm.
we get hundreds of people joining that because people are interested in going, and they're intimidated or they're nervous about it. And so that first email, I kind of talk to them and I ask them in the end of the email, I say, hey, what are you most excited about? What is it that you're really looking forward to? And I don't have, it's not automated, but I kind of have a thing I can cut and paste and respond to each person to make that a little quicker.
Mhm.
Of course, and then I'll personalize it, and based on if they give me, if they say something in the email that I need to, react to a little bit more personal. But
Sure.
yeah, I set those kind of systems up so that if something hits and all of a sudden I get 100 responses in a week, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna neglect them and take forever to respond. So you can set up some things here and help you, but you still want to be hitting that reply button.
So let's talk about segmentation
Yeah.
a little bit more. You sort of alluded to it. Um, inside a system.
Sorry, my
Ooh,
daughter is trying to FaceTime me.
that's all right. Do you need to pick up? Does Brooke want to
No,
be on a live show?
I'm going to text her back.
Alrighty. Alrighty. So I'll tee it up since I know you can do two things at once. You're an
Yes.
entrepreneur. um, when you are doing segmentation, like, is there a like, what's the best, like, most ideal time to do it? Because I think the, like, workflow of how to set stuff up is a little bit of a struggle, and I have a question from Jeff here that we'll
Yeah.
address in a
Let's do
minute.
that. Mhm.
But, like, where's the appropriate time to segment? How do you even go about that? I know, acknowledging that every system is slightly different.
Sure. I mean, for me, it did take a while to kind of figure out what my segments are and build those out. Now, like when I started building out and thinking about how I want to do my email uh, list for my coaching side, you know, building out the sequence was my first step. Um, and building out that kind of general, and I feel like it's segmenting, but it's really maybe a more broad segment. But for people who are coming onto my list that want to interact with me in some way of coaching, I want to build a welcome sequence for them. And so, like to Jeff's point, what is the first sequence you build? I think
Mhm.
you need to build that. I call it a welcome sequence. So what are those 3 to 5 things that you would tell somebody in the elevator about your business? What are those critical points? What are those key things that you tell everybody? Well, those are your first 3 to 5 emails that need to be in your first sequence. Those shouldn't be like a broadcast email that you schedule. That should be when somebody subscribes to your list over the course of 3 or 4 days. They're going to get these emails that say, hey, here's who I am. The next one's maybe here, hey, here's my background, here's what I've done in the past. Maybe the third one is here's some of my offerings, here's some of the things I do. And then maybe the fourth one is a little more, stronger kind of call to action, like let's work together. What are your pain points? How can I help? But you definitely need to build that welcome sequence first. Kind of a broad segmentation, but you need to be welcoming your audience into your ecosystem.
Oh, I love that you use the word ecosystem. You know that's my favorite. So that welcome sequence, does that go out to everybody, or is it different based on how people opt in and where they opt in on your site?
For me and the way I do it. So I have a few different really segmented lists, and so I have the what to expect at your first powwow. I have people that may be looking for ancestry, genealogy information. So that's another one. I have people that are looking to find powwows. They just won't give me the calendar, right?
Mm,
But those are three kind of broad or niche down. So all of those get a different sequence.
okay.
But when they finish that particular sequence, they're put into the general, here's what powwows.com is in general. So they still get put on the welcoming
Ah,
sequence after they finish their specific one.
that's awesome. I don't think I knew that as many
Yeah.
times as we have had conversations about this. That's amazing. So then anytime you create something new, do you know everyone has to hit the 5-day or 7 day, and then you just roll them into the general nurture after that? Or are you having them jump from sequence to sequence within those individual automations? Like, how do you, from a mechanics
Right, right.
standpoint, flow it?
So I use ConvertKit, and
Okay.
so with ConvertKit, I'm able to create some rules. So if they join the what to expect at your first powwow, they are tagged for that, and they will get that. And I think it's it's one email a day for about 7 or 8 days. So they get that entire thing, and then ConvertKit lets me do an automation based on when you finish the sequence, then do this. So when
Okay.
they finish that sequence, then they're put into the general powwows.com. Here's what we are kind of sequence.
That's so much smarter than the way I've been doing it. And I am so glad that I'm having you on. As Jeff always says on his show, like, this is free consulting. Thank
Yes.
you for your
Yeah.
help. Because what I do is I always try to standardize my timing, which doesn't always work out, right? Like,
Right. Right.
sometimes you need that extra day or extra email or like a little more of a break or whatever the case may be. And so it's just so fun to see how the sausage is made in someone else's factory so that we can like figure out how we can do it better. That's
Right.
amazing. So then, in terms of the actual segmentation, then is there notation like appended to each contact of like where they've been, and then like tags or some sort of nomenclature that allows you to go like, this person's had this sequence, this sequence, this sequence, in like a easy like way to automate?
ConvertKit's pretty good about that. It's not quite as robust as some of the I know the systems you use, and some of the other more sophisticated funnels have a little bit better system. But yes, I can pull up a subscriber and I can see every sequence, where they are in the sequence, and I can see what they've opened, what they've clicked on, what they didn't open. Yeah. And then the
That's
other thing I'll
amazing.
do is when we talk about sequences too, so they get put in the what to expect at your first powwow, then they get rolled into the general. All the while, I'm still sending them. If I've sent out a weekly broadcast message, they are getting that. And so that's the other
Okay.
thing I'll do is I will make sure that if I'm sending a broadcast message on Tuesday, I may my sequences may say, hey, don't send these sequences on Tuesday, because I'm going to reserve that for a big broadcast message.
Okay. All right. Interesting. All right. So, what to do to make someone feel welcomed once they come through the door? And we started there intentionally because, well, you have to have that set up before you can welcome them through the
Right.
door. And I think that's a huge hang up for a lot of people, that like, I haven't done that yet, so I just don't have a list. And it's like you have to start taking action somewhere. So I love the idea of a general nurture to start. And then once you start seeing where everybody's, landing and what's most important to them, and you can meet them individually, that's an additional layer that you can put in above that general nurture. But
Sure.
then backing all the way up and going, someone found your site on the internet. Now what? How do we entice people to even want to continue to engage with us?
So this is, and I mentioned this briefly before we started going live. One of the things I found, I did some email list building kind of audits of folks a few months ago, and looking at people's pages. I A super critical one is that people aren't asking for email in the right spots.
Hmm.
I can't tell you how many people, when I was auditing people's pages, that their email opt-in was only on their front page or only in their footer. So let's think about this. If I'm going to go and visit Jeff's site, I'm probably not going to his front page, right? I'm probably Googling something, and I'm going to wind up on his mainly Pinterest tips page, right? He needs an email opt-in box about Pinterest on that page in a kind of prominent location. And so many people forget that, right? It's not our front pages where people come through our door. We wish that everybody would kind of come through our front page because we put so much work into those, but that's not where people land. They're going to land on some other page down buried deep in our content. So on those pages, you have to ask for it. And that's where I think you got to start thinking about your segmentation. So if Jeff has an entire sequence or section on his page dedicated to Pinterest, then he needs a opt-in that's going to address people wanting information on Pinterest. Then you build a segment about Pinterest, and that's kind of how you create your first segment.
And this is really where you and I think like our services really hold hands, because often I tell people like you have to drill down and understand hierarchically how you organize the topics you discuss. And when you've done the SEO work and you know the keywords and the higher level like buckets, then you start to develop that blog content that is really aimed at getting traffic, which is another thing you are exceptional at, particularly at powwows. Like you guys get a lot of traffic a month. And so if those individual pages, which again, we're like so tired by the time we've designed a website as solopreneurs,
Right.
we're just like, I don't know, like forget it. It's here. Like, but that's really that granular content is where if you've done the keyword research, people come in. And I
Yes.
think if you can think about, like for me, I talk about living with purpose, and the opt in is around your core values. And I control all of that through categories. So rather than trying to think about what is this about and what do I have to put in on this page, it's all automated. And then they get put into the right sequence based on all that automation. And it all comes from those higher level things that I talk about. Organic marketing has a different opt in, entrepreneurship has a different opt in. And so to your point that like this is a really great place to say like it all coalesces and comes
Yes.
together. It's an ecosystem and
And
it all has to talk.
I hear that people, and you mentioned it earlier, people don't know what to say in emails. Okay, so if you've built out your, if you've worked with Lauren and you built out your SEO and you have this great section of content, those are your emails. You don't have to put the entire blog post in an email.
Right.
But if you have 5 emails or 5 blog posts about whatever your niche is, then those are 5 emails you need to generate. You can point them back to the article for further reading, but you need to be repurposing all of the stuff you're building across all your ways that you reach your customers.
And if you're curious about how to repurpose content, we know
Yes.
a guy. His name is Jeff C. He's very good at it. Paul, what do you use
Yeah.
to do that?
Good question.
I'm
So
curious.
I use 3 different tools for my opt-ins. My first is ConvertBox, and ConvertBox is just one of those pop-up programs that, and it has all kinds of tools. You can do the pop-ups, you can do the slide-ins, you can do the top bar. I love it because it is a WordPress plugin and it allows me to control the pop-up opt-ins by category or by page. And it's even more, you can get even more complicated. So you can do things if somebody has 10 page views and is on this section, then give them this opt-in. So you can kind of really segment for who's a new visitor and who's a returning visitor. It has some really nice features. So that's the first one I use. I do use ConvertKit's forms to create some landing pages and some general opt-in boxes. And then 3, I do use the Grow tools from Mediavine, and they're the ad company I work with, but their Grow tool is open to anybody. And they have the coolest feature. It's called Spotlight Subscribe. And
Do you want to show it?
yeah, let
Do
me
you think you
see
can make
while
it
I'm
trigger?
talking. Let me see if I can get one pulled up. I have to go
All
into
right.
incognito because it's
Because
not
it
going to
knows
show
you.
up to me because I've already viewed too many pages. But let's.
And I will say I use a tool called Thrive Themes, and I use their Thrive Leads to do a similar thing. It's a similar functionality. It's a WordPress plugin. This is where when people ask me where should their website be, I say WordPress because there are so many different tools that are exceptional that give you such control and allow you to execute these kinds of strategies, these next level strategies. Whereas if you're going with someone like a Squarespace or Wix, you're kind of like you're boxed in by what
Yes.
functionality they provide. Alrighty, so we are gonna go ahead. Sorry, Jeff, I've gotta take that off. I'm new to this tool. I'm using StreamYard for the first time, and this is really easy and fun. I like it.
So this is our travel guide for New Mexico Native American culture, and if this works, and
Make it go. Come on,
come on,
internet gods.
of course, it's not going to work when I'm trying to
Of
make it work.
course not.
Um,
It might work for me.
I'm in incognito. It should work. But let me go to one more page. Let me just try something else. Let me try something in a different category. Let's try. If you haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon, good movie, story that most people don't know about. I did not know all the details until I saw it. Okay, then it's not loading at all.
It's not going to do it.
Anyways, so terrible example. Sorry about that. But what
you want to explain what the spotlight feature does?
Yeah,
I'm going to try and get in and make it happen. So
as you're scrolling down the content, it'll actually pop up an opt-in box from the content, like in between paragraphs. It'll dim out the rest of the page and only highlight that little box. It is a great tool, and I can't tell you. I mean, thousands of subscribers have come through that tool. It's
I
really
think
great.
it really goes, it's not going for me either. That's a
Yeah,
bummer. I really wanted to show people because you've shown me before, and I think it just goes to the fact that so much of online marketing is around capitalizing on people's short attention spans, which I'm like, I hate that, but tools like that really point the arrow to where you should be looking, they're really powerful. And this is where like pop-ups, people say don't do pop-ups because they're annoying. They're annoying, but they freaking
they
work.
work.
So like
They do work.
you can make that choice, but just know what the trade-off is, because the reality is you can X out if you don't want it. Like I I feel like I would rather people know and not go, "Oh, I walked away from that stranger on the internet and never engaged in the stuff that I really loved." Like I'd rather be slightly annoying to somebody than not stay connected
Right.
to the people
Right.
who really wanna stay connected.
And ConvertBox and some of the other tools I've used, Opt-in Monster and some of the others too. They all have these features, and you can do things like don't show the opt-in or the pop-up until they've been on the page for 30 seconds, right? Or until they look like they're going to exit the page. So if the browser thinks they're getting ready to leave your page, it'll then show it. But again, if you don't ask for the email, you're never going to get it. So you've got to
Yeah.
ask for it.
Yeah, it's like asking for the sale. So many entrepreneurs, you can't even find a price on their site. Like,
Yes.
being super forthright and clear is helpful to folks. Like, we all want the easy button, and we all, as entrepreneurs, solve a problem. So, if you can make that connection as quickly as possible, however it is, by giving a freebie, by saying, I'll take care of you, whatever the case may be, like, here's a service I offer, like, however it is that you serve, here's my product, and being really clear and upfront with that, I think that's really, really powerful.
And
Um,
segmentation is so important. If you deliver a pop-up, so we'll go back to my example of the what to expect at your first powwow. If somebody's on a page that's teaching or talking about here's the etiquette, or here are the 5 things you need to know about powwow etiquette before you show up. If I deliver a pop-up that says, hey, here's a guide on what to expect at your first powwow, it's relevant, it's the information they wanted, they're going to appreciate the pop-up, right? As
yeah,
opposed to just popping up something and says, hey, subscribe here. So you've got to really
right.
kind of meet them where they are. You said that earlier. Meet them where they are. Give them the information they're looking for, and the pop-up is no longer intrusive. It's just part of the organic conversation you're having with them.
And I think too, again, this is like getting traffic to your site is really the first step in growing your email list. And
Yeah,
it's something that we've kind of been circling around, but SEO is a great tool to do that. Having, a presence in social is really important. Then you bring them over and you dish up something that they want and that's absolutely tied in with permission marketing,
right.
and then you facilitate the transformation. I want to get to this question from Jeff because it kind of ties back to what you were saying before about the sequences and then broadcast emails. Do you, is there a blanket answer to this, or is it very much dependent on a person's brand
Yeah,
and
I get this question a lot, and the way I always answer it is, it's as long as you're delivering value to your reader, then it's okay to send another email. If you're just sending out
Mm,
another email because you just want to send 2 emails this week, they're going to see through that and they're not going to appreciate it. So for me, I send on most weeks, I'm sending 5 broadcast messages a week. Sometimes 3, but most of the time, 5 broadcast messages a week. And very rarely do I hear from anybody that it's too much. That, like I said earlier, I will get a few people that complain. Mostly what I get is, and again, this is in the last few months, is I'll get somebody that says, you sent me 5 emails this week. It wasn't too many. It's, can I get them all in one day? Instead of just sitting, I want to be able to
oh,
sit down and read all of your information at one time. So again, I'm delivering value. I'm delivering information they want, so they're willing to read it. And it just depends on how you've cultivated your community and how well you're engaging. I mean, I would start with 1 a week, right? And build consistency so that they know on Tuesdays. And if you're subscribed to paulgutter.com, tomorrow you're going to get my first weekly broadcast message.
ooh,
Take Action
everybody go
Tuesdays.
sign up.
Yes, I'm having a new email series. I'm going to call it Take Action Tuesdays, where I'm
Oh,
going to
I love
give you
it.
some actionable tips every Tuesday. So people will expect that, right? And they know on Tuesdays, I'm going to get that value. Angie Robinson, another friend of ours. I love her Magic Monday emails where she gives you a little pop of, motivation on Monday. So people will expect that you build that out. And, over time, if you have more value to add, then maybe you can send one on Thursday or Friday, right? It really depends on what kind of content you have and how much content do you need to communicate with your audience.
For those who are offering a service or a product specifically, I know you do a lot of affiliates.
Right.
Is there a ratio of like the Gary Vaynerchuk jab, 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 right hook? Like,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
there a particular ratio that you try to follow with that?
Yeah. So here, I'll go through kind of on a typical week what
Mhm.
I'm doing. So Monday and Tuesdays is going to Monday or Tuesday, depending on sometimes when I get it done, is going to be generally here's what we did on powells.com last week. So here are the articles we published, catch you up on the new stuff we did. The other day, whatever day we sent that out, the other day we're going to have one that covers some of our other things. Like we have a directory of native businesses and some other stuff. So that will be in the second kind of weekly update email. On Thursdays is our Throwback Thursday sequence, which is a whole other thing. So that Thursdays is reserved for that. It is a
Which I
sequence.
love from an SEO strategy.
Yes.
It's important to highlight because it
Right.
it helps. So you go back to old articles,
Content.
right? You
Yes.
link
Yes.
back.
We're just sending out old content. And it's not technically a broadcast, but everybody on the list gets it. So I kind of view that as a broadcast that goes out on Thursdays. Then if there's any kind of announcement, so like this week, this weekend we'll be streaming a powwow. So on Friday, I'll be sending a broadcast message about the stream that we're doing. So given all of that, if I want to highlight a product in our Shopify store, I will send one email a week, and usually on Saturday or Sunday,
Mm.
that is like, hey, by the way, we have a sale this week. Our stickers are 20% off. So I'll send all those content emails and just one kind of salesy email a week.
So it's funny. Muhammad, I think, was typing as I was like thinking the same question. So that idea of the ratio or like what's the volume? So you're doing
Right.
like a 5-to-1, but you have a team behind you. And I think this is really important to acknowledge because I think a lot of people go, but I'm a solopreneur and I have clients, or I'm trying to build, my podcast following, or I'm trying to do all these different things. I'm juggling so much. Um, I think that message of like, if you don't have something to say, any value to add, then don't send the email. But I also love the Wayback Machine idea of like, don't forget that you've already created so much.
Right.
Like, don't forget what's behind you. Because Kristen's here. Kristen's in the house. Hooray. She said
Hello.
she was typing the exact same question. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, we're all connected by mind meld now. So that's lovely. It's good to have a hive. Um,
But so you
so
were mentioning a team, and so I will say I have a VA that helps me write the emails. So he knows that on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, I'm going to send the weekly email. So he goes in and builds the basic structure. Here's the new blog post we wrote, all of that, and then I'll go in and kind of write a personal message at the top and maybe ask a question or engage with the readers, and then I schedule it and send it out. So I have somebody giving me the kind of the outline of these emails. Same thing on the Throwback Thursday. I had that same VA. I gave him and we just we created the one for 2024. And so I gave him 52 topics. Here are the blog posts we're going to highlight this year. And he went out and built the sequence for me. And then I go in and again, I write a custom message at the top. I make the title and then put it in the sequence and schedule it.
I love that because it often feels like all or nothing, right?
Right.
Either a VA does everything and I don't have to touch it, or else it's like a failure. Like the fact that you're like, no, this is still my voice, it's still me, but there's a way to offload some of it. I think that's amazing and really goes to show how you're able to grow and scale in the way that you have as really the head of this company with a team around you, but also still keeping your hand in every sort of bucket,
Yes. Yes.
really
And
important.
we were all at Momentum together recently, at least some of the people watching. And
Yeah.
one of the questions raised was, if you're young in your business and you don't have the money, it is hard to want to go out and hire a VA. But like for my Throwback Thursday email, just to put it in perspective, I have a work with an overseas VA. One, he spends all day doing this stuff, so he is really quick with the cut and pasting and formatting and all that stuff. It would have taken me, and I built the first Throwback Thursday sequence. It took me days. He built it in maybe 3 days, spent maybe 4 hours doing it. You're paying him, a reasonable salary for their country, whatever. So, but it only cost, under $100, and I had this entire sequence built for me, because he's much more efficient at it than I am. So even if you're just starting out and you've got limited funds, there are times those 2 days for me were more valuable for my time to go spend something else. And it was worth it for that investment to spend a few dollars to let somebody else do that. So, at times I think even if you don't have a big budget, you want to consider some of this because it's going to free you up to do some other things.
Time's our most precious resource, so it's
Yes.
absolutely critical. 100%. Okay, so we've talked about bringing people to your site through organic traffic and then being really clear with the offers once they come in the door.
Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about where I definitely want to get to giveaways because you are
Right.
so good at that. But before we do, you had mentioned before we got on live that you are also getting emails from social, which is something that I don't think a lot of people know you can do.
Yes.
And to me, as someone who's like, ugh, social, I think it's a really amazing, amazing way to cross the streams a little bit and go, I can leverage social for this purpose and actually still retain control, which is my biggest bugaboo with social. So, can you walk us through how you're doing that?
Yeah, this is what I learned about. I wish I'd learned about it years ago. I've only been doing this a couple of years, and it is so fantastic. So, if you have a Facebook group, you're allowed to ask them questions when they join your Facebook group. Typically, people are asking, will you agree to my rules? And where did you find out about me? Those kind of things. One of the questions you need to ask them is, would you like to subscribe to our email newsletter? Maybe you'll give them what they're going to receive kind of in the description, and then ask for their email address. That has been a game changer for me. And so when I'll get to kind of how we automate it but in the beginning, I was just copying and pasting those emails before I approved the person, right? And we were just collecting them that way. We've gotten the volumes up a little bit, and it's a little bigger now. My main Facebook group is, I think it's at 150,000 people right now. So it's a little bit bigger lift. So we're using a tool called Group Leads. There are other ones out there too, but Group Leads is one of them. And it just installs a Chrome plugin. And so when you're doing your membership approvals, as you hit approve, it grabs the email and puts it in a Google Doc for you, or a Google Sheet. And then depending on what email system you use, ConvertKit has some tools where I'm able to then take that and automatically put it into my email system. But if nothing else, if it just puts it in a Google Sheet, you can still, you can go and manually
Easily.
do it.
Yeah.
It takes care of capturing all that data for you. It is fantastic. And so I looked earlier, we were talking about it. Active subscribers on my list right now, I've got about 12,000 people that have come in through that means now. And so that's a huge, that's 10% of my list right now that we've collected from our Facebook group.
Yeah. So if you guys are doing the math, Paul's email list is impressive. Like he told us the other day, he's like, I called 5 figures of people from my list for being inactive. And we all just went, like, we don't have that many like on our list at all.
Yeah.
So he is strategic, but also from a place of caring. Like it's about
Right.
wanting to cultivate community. So it's not like I think sometimes when we talk about those metrics, people are like, ooh, numbers. And it's like they're not good or bad. To me, I think they're a measure of how well you take care of your people. And that is why you have a viable business in the online space that, has an incredible following.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, taking care of people when they come through the door, getting them to the door first, then taking care of them when they come through the door, offering something that is in alignment and integrity with the content they found. And that comes from a strategic bent of understanding how you facilitate folks in the online space and what you signal to Google you are doing. And then making sure that the sequences align with the opt in that was provided. But there is something else you do that's really amazing. And that is do you see Jeff?
That's
Oh my
all. Yes.
god.
Thanks,
No,
Jeff.
his head does fit in the frame. He's a very humble guy. That's why we're good friends. So when it comes to another fun little thing that you can do for your community, you do giveaways and you give away really cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I am curious to know. Oh no,
Am I
you're
locked up?
frozen. You
Can you see
are.
me?
I can see you, but you're frozen.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
I've got the spinning wheel of death over here on my Mac.
No. You are
Um,
doing your best, Elsa.
yeah. At least you can still hear me.
I
That's
can. Do you want
that's
me
a good.
to here? Why don't I try removing you from the frame? This could go horribly wrong because I don't know these tools very well. And I'm gonna add you back to the stage. Welcome back to the stage, Paul Gatter. Oh, now you're a black square of doom. Uh-oh.
Oh man. Okay.
Well, listen, if you need to get off and restart, we can do that too. I'm just gonna Kristen just said, but you're frozen in the happy expression.
This I
It
did the
all
same thing
started
on
with Jeff. This is Jeff's
Jeff. It's all
fault.
your fault. All right. If I exit, I will come
Go
back.
for it. All right. I'm just gonna sit here and dance. Oh, wait, you're
Oh,
back.
look, magically. Um. Okay.
I
So
was
let's talk
about to
about
say I'm
giveaways.
gonna have to sing now, and I think the internet was like, no, don't do that.
Shameless plug. Powells.com/win. You can enter to win this right here. Yeah. Let's talk about prizes. Look at this.
Oh my gosh, it's
Isn't that
beautiful.
crazy? And they make this in Seattle. I'm going to visit them next week. Um,
And Kristen and I,
yes.
you're gonna come
So
to visit all of us.
they make this in their Seattle store. Um,
Gosh, that's
so
beautiful.
let's talk giveaways. I love doing giveaways, and I think it is an underused way of growing your email list. Two things I'll start with though. You need a prize, you need something to attract people that is in your niche. I tried it in the beginning, giving away like what did I do? iPod shuffles
I
and
remember that.
yeah, I did an iPad. I did those kind of things, and you will get hundreds of people wanting to join your giveaway, but it's not your people, right? So that was one of the big things I discovered is once I started finding prizes that fit with my audience, the people who joined my list from the giveaways was what's much better. You're still going to get some that are just coming to win the prize,
Sure.
and that's fine. Cole,
Scrub that list.
scrub your list actively, and every month it's okay. They'll get off eventually. It is, but it is so good to be able to use giveaways and give away those kind of prizes. And you get to work with some really cool partners. You'll be able to find some people in your niche that want to work with you. But yeah, it's so good. And I've tried several different tools. My favorite tool right now is Viral Sweep. I love doing that one. I don't know if this is going to work, but I can show you my current giveaway right now. Let's see. Hopefully I won't lock up again. Oh, it's not even letting me click the present button. So, nope, there it goes. Okay. Share screen. All right. So this is our current giveaway, powells.com/win. Every November we do an Explore Native where we issue a challenge, and they enter this and they're part of our Explore Native challenge. I'll talk more about why it's a challenge in a second, but let me show you scroll down here past the prizes. These are the blankets we're giving away. So here's the simple form that Viral Sweep gives you. They click this and boom, they're in the giveaway. That's all they have to do. But here's the cool thing. Once you get, and now they're on my email list, right? So I'll talk about before I get to why I really love Viral Sweep. The really cool thing and the power of giveaways is for every giveaway I run, I build a sequence for it. So the people who enter this giveaway are now put into a special sequence that they're going to get a set of emails that I've already written that are going to be about this contest. So this is a challenge. And so every day during the challenge, they're going to get a new email that tells them something new that they need to go and read. They need to go watch a video. They need to go shop at a particular native company that I'm going to highlight. I even have some things or some challenges for people to do offline. So that's kind of how we build this as a challenge. And then we use the email sequence to really take people through that. It's going to build traffic, it's going to build engagement. It's great. But then Viral Sweep lets me do some other things that are really fun, like all of these other things you can do. Like, so if I want to click on this and read this, when I click this button, boom, I now have 20 more entries into the contest. That's cool. But, and I've talked about this one before, and it does get a little more complicated, but they also let me hide bonus codes. So again, in that email sequence, I'm telling people, hey, if you go and do this thing, you may find a bonus code that'll get you an extra entry in the in the contest. And going back to what I said at the very beginning, you have to respond to people's emails. I'm actually, some of the emails you get in this challenge are just things like, hey, tell me about this. Send me an email, reply to this, and tell me this, and I'll give you a bonus code. And they only get that when I reply to them. Right. So now I've
Oh,
started
that's
all of these
cool.
conversations going. And so I literally have, during this contest, I'll have dozens and dozens of these email threads going with individual people. And you're building a really good engagement. You're getting to know your readers. It's super fun. People look forward to this one every year. We have a great time with it. And it grows the email list like crazy.
That's amazing. So this is Viral Sweep.
Viral Sweep, yes.
And Sam, you are 100% right. It is such a cool system to use. That's really fantastic. And I love that you can curate like point levels and all the
Right.
things to make sure that everybody is doing the stuff that's going to, rising tide lifts all ships. Like you can have somebody subscribing to your YouTube channel, they get a bunch more
Right.
entries, like that's more valuable to you. And so thinking
Yes.
about like the strategy behind it and the tiers and everything, that's amazing. We did have a question with giveaways from Jeff about do you ever give away your own product, like a course you're selling? I actually have done this. I did it terribly.
Mhm.
I was way too small when I did this. So I'm curious to know, do you do anything like this over on the email side or over on Powwows?
So I haven't done anything on the paulgatter.com side yet. I need to do better at doing my own email and not just talking about it. So over the last
Ah,
like
the
2
life
weeks,
of
I
an
really
entrepreneur.
focused on building out the paulgatter.com email side. So that's coming. More of that's coming. But
Stay
have
tuned.
I have given away some things, like we have a coloring book. Um, we have some stickers and stuff like that. So I will put those in occasionally, and especially in some of the smaller giveaways we do. One that we did, it's been about 2 months ago, we did Viral Sweep has one where people can spin the wheel, and whatever it lands on, they win. And so like we had stickers in that and t-shirts, and people really loved that. They had a good time with it. People spent, like, they would email me and told me, I've been spinning this wheel all day trying to win this one thing. um so it's super fun. And I'll tell you, the spin to win was so much fun. People told their friends about it. I got 2,500 new email subscribers in 3 days from that, just from people spinning the wheel. Um,
Wow.
I thought that it would generate a lot of traffic and people would have fun with it. I had no idea that we would generate that many new subscribers, that people would talk about it.
Yeah.
But even my daughter was calling me, telling me, hey, Lily is trying. She's trying over and over again, and she still hasn't won. She's been trying it for 3 days. So I had to send Brooke a bunch of, my daughter and her roommate. I had to send them a bunch of stickers because they couldn't win. Um,
Aw.
but yeah, so people were talking about it, and it really built up some buzz. So there's ways here to, again, you're building a really engaged community. And sometimes if that involves giving them a few prizes or interacting with them through a giveaway like this, it's really going to help. And your open rates are going to go up. Your click-through rates are going to go up. They're going to look for that next email you send them.
Yeah. My brain is already turning on maybe doing this for like my mastermind because I do a drop-in mastermind that, I think as I think about the new year and people who want to do things a little different,
Mhm.
like get out of the transom light that I'm like currently sitting in. No, but they want to do things a little different. They need tools and resources, like doing something like that where you give away something that's high value, um, and just help generate more buzz around what you do.
Right.
I think for something like courses, it could be really great. Um, I did it with when I launched my test prep company, but like I said, I didn't do it very well. And I had a lot of the looky-loos. I had a lot of people who just wanted to win something, but it was something that was high value that they weren't gonna use and that was very specific. It was a little too niche. So I think that, that didn't go so well, but I think my brain is now spinning on all the different things you could do.
And, I know Jeff has a new course coming out soon
Yeah.
on the script, so maybe he does a giveaway where he gives away a free course. But even if not, maybe you give away 30-minute coaching sessions on Descript, right? And maybe that's a feeder into if they get on a coaching call with you for 30 minutes, then maybe they then will need to buy the course because they're going to be, even pulled more into what you're doing. So there's some other ways you can do it to help kind of grow and get toward that goal of your selling the course or whatever it is.
I wonder if you even flipped it and said, if you are part of the launch crew, then if you buy
Right.
the course, maybe you're getting a screaming deal because it's ultimately going to retail for something else. Then anybody who buys in the first 2 weeks is put into a pool for a bonus
Yeah, you can do those kind
coaching.
of things too. Right.
Yeah, you
Right.
can flip the script and
Mhm.
make it for just people who came in. That's interesting. So fun. So many different things. Are there any other tools that you think are absolutely necessary um, to run your email? Obviously, you need an email management system, a ConvertKit. I use Active Campaign, although I might be switching. A lot of people talk about MailChimp. Don't use MailChimp. Um, but beyond that, and then the plugins on your website, is there anything else that you think is really beneficial for this process?
I don't know of any other tools. I'd say, really focus in on that buying that email system, whether it's ConvertKit, MailChimp, whatever it is. Find the one that's going to work for you. Um, I used MailChimp for years, and for whatever reason, the system didn't click in my brain how their system worked and how they mapped
Yeah.
out things. When I switched to ConvertKit, it all just kind of clicked in better for me, and I was able to build sequences easier. ConvertKit does have a nice free plan for people who want to get, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm looking into that.
yeah, it's good stuff. And it just made sense for me. So just, make sure you kind of go through these tools and figure out what works for you. Same thing. I think having something like ConvertBox is huge.
Yeah.
And whether it's opt-in monster, ConvertBox, or any of these other dozens of tools for these email opt-ins, find something that's going to work for you that you can really kind of build out your system, your segmentation. And yeah, again, give people the chance to ask to sign up, ask them, give
Yes.
them a way to do it.
Yeah. One thing we didn't really talk about beyond just making sure the nurture sequences are appropriate and in alignment is an opt in gift.
Mhm.
Do you do any opt in gifts for folks?
I
Like,
do have a couple.
sorry.
So I have one for people who are looking for powwows. We have a free PDF that we give out, and it's our entire powwow calendar. Everything we have online, we put it into a PDF. We update it once a month. So that's one. If people subscribe to a particular email sequence, then they get that PDF delivered to them. We also have a PDF on. I'm sorry, a free email course on how to use Ancestry.com, and it's like step by step, takes you through with screenshots and explanations. So that's not really a downloadable. It's a I call it an email course, but it's free.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do some of those. But the ones that are the most successful for me are, again, asking for an email on a page in a way and telling them what they're going to get on a page that they're already interested in. So when you're delivering contextual things, that's the best ones for me. The freebies don't always convert as well, at least for me. It's telling them, hey, you're looking for this information, well, I have an email about that, so sign up here and I'll send you more information. Those work best for me.
I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Paul. Can you share the best way for folks to get in touch with you if they are going to be looking for someone to support them with their email
Please come on
creation?
over. Yep. I've got over on paulgouder.com. I got the work with me tab. You can schedule a free 30-minute discovery call. I'd love to find out and keep the conversation going about how you can grow your email list. That's the best place to follow. And you can subscribe over there, and starting this week, you're going to start getting weekly emails from me. So
I am headed there right now. Thank you so much, Paul. I'm so grateful for you. Thank you, everyone who joined us live. And if you're watching a replay, if you have questions, drop them in the comments. We are here to support you. And also, by all means, go over and see Paul on his website, paulgowder.com. Thank you so much, Paul. Bye,
Thank
everybody. Have a great day.